Benuin. I'm a program specialist for RSA at the Department of Education, and this is the webinar for the National Clearinghouse on Rehabilitation Training Materials, or NCRTM. With us today are Rachel and Sherry from New Additions Consulting.
Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Sines and I'm a technical assistant with New Additions Consulting.
And I'm Sherry Takamoto. I'm the project director from New Additions Consulting. So a little bit about New Additions. New Additions Consulting is a woman-owned small business specializing in disability, health, education, and human services. New Addition contracts with agencies across the government to improve employment options and community living for people with disabilities, build research and training capacity in the field, and improve accessibility. New Additions provides technical assistance, accessible IT solutions, research and evaluation, and program management services. About 25% of our staff members are people who have self-identified as having disabilities. In 2013, New Additions won the U.S. Business Leadership Network's Small Business Employer of the Year Award for its disability inclusion practices. In addition to the NCRTM contract, New Addition supports NIDER's ABLE data, OSEP's annual report to Congress, SSA's Ticket to Work, and CMS MFP program.
Thank you, Sherry. Now, for today's agenda. Today will be an introduction to the NCRTM. Some of the questions that are going to be addressed over the course of this webinar include, what is the NCRTM? Why is the NCRTM needed? The design process for the NCRTM. The features for NCRTM. The benefits for submitting, how to upload materials, and we'll be closing with a very brief question and answer. Now, for the first thing, what is the NCRTM? The NCRTM is the National Clearinghouse on Rehabilitation Training Materials. It is a searchable repository of materials useful for training in rehabilitation, especially those developed through RSA funding. These include curricula, self-directed online training, web-based training, peer-to-peer training, instructional videos, and apps. Now, the vision for NCRTM. The RSA mission is to provide leadership and resources to assist state and other agencies in providing vocational rehabilitation, independent living, and other services to individuals with disabilities to maximize their employment, independence, and integration into the community and the competitive labor market. The NCRTM will help us with our mission to improve the NCRTM as a central repository of technical assistance and training materials in order to disseminate high-quality materials that support rehabilitation professionals in communicating effectively with today's VR consumers and with business, accessible, well-organized sites to inform the field about new or emerging issues and trends in the field of vocational rehabilitation, as well as for systems change, replicable materials and promising practice that can improve employment outcomes for people with disabilities. Now, why is the NCRTM needed? RSA supports the NCRTM for several reasons. First, the NCRTM is a place to showcase and disseminate materials from grants funded by RSA. Second, many people don't know these materials exist or don't know where to find them. And third, even after projects are completed, materials can be saved for future use without having to be maintained on institutional servers. Now, the rationale behind NCRTM. The NCRTM began in the 1960s, and over the years, the scope of training materials has expanded, and it's become difficult for users to locate current and relevant training materials. RSA considered how the field of rehabilitation training has changed from a hard copy archive of materials in a library to some new demands for digital resources that are accessible and relevant. Input from the field has been very important to defining the requirements for the new NCRTM. In order to better respond to the needs of our users, RSA has conducted a request for information in late 2013. 43 commenters responded and offered creative ideas and valuable feedback across these following topic areas: 1. Training materials that would be beneficial to grantees, students, counselors, employers, and job seekers that currently don't exist in the repository. 2. Improved dissemination of rehabilitation training materials. 3. New functions that could be provided by the NCRTM to better meet user needs. And finally, 4. New technologies that might be used to disseminate information to rehabilitation professionals to keep their skills current. This information is currently guiding the redesign of the new NCRTM. The vehicle for operating the NCRTM transitioned to a contract in FY 2014. New Editions Consulting was selected as the contractor in May of that year. New Editions Consulting, Inc. is providing services across 3 primary areas: supporting web-based TA and training through interactive webinars, hosting the NCRTM, and enhancing the overall functions of the NCRTM. I will now turn it over to Sherry Takamoto, who will tell us more about the design of the site and how it will function.
Thank you, Don. To develop the requirements and design for the new site, we conducted an intensive review of the archive materials from the previous NCRTM. We also drafted search categories based on integrating frameworks used by the Commission on Rehabilitation Counselor Certification, the Council on Rehabilitation Education, the World Health Organization, and RSA. We also convened an advisory panel with representation from the Council of State Administrators of Vocational Rehabilitation, the Council on Rehabilitation Education, the National Coalition of Interpreter Education Centers, the Commission on Rehabilitation Counselor Certification, and Rehabilitation Services Administration grantees. During our review, we noted that the NCRTM is a treasure trove of rehabilitation resources developed over many years. However, we also discovered that a number of the materials were not 508 accessible. We will move forward to make sure that what we add to the NCRTM is accessible, and we'd like to assure you that everything that is transferred from the former NCRTM will be retained in a searchable archive. Some of the inaccessible materials currently in the repository will be made accessible. However, other materials moved to the archive will not necessarily be accessible. Stay tuned for an upcoming webinar on demystifying Section 508. One of the other aspects of the new site is that users will be able to rate the quality and usefulness of materials through a star rating system that will give the folks who develop the material feedback, but also allow users to see what is being used by others and how useful that's been. So now I'd like to show an image of the redesign concept for the new landing page. Since the NCRTM is still in development, the visuals may change, but we're using these visuals to give you an idea of the look and feel of the new site. So first, the header. The header will include the new NCRTM logo, a search library option that is available on all pages throughout the site for your convenience, and a link here for the grantee portal. The footer will include information about the NCRTM, an accessibility compliance statement, plugins for users to download free programs to help them view materials, such as the Microsoft Word Viewer, Adobe PDF Reader, and various other movie players, and the NCRTM Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube pages. But the page is to search the library. The home page will also showcase 4 other primary activities right here. The first one will to help folks identify, find RSA webinars. They'll be able to read the latest RSA news. Other folks who are not grantees will be able to submit materials, And there will be a place to find descriptions and links to RSA-funded programs and other useful sites and resources. Finally, the homepage will highlight links to additional time-limited programs, events, materials, and etc. in a highlight section at the bottom that will allow users to rotate through graphics promoting the links. After searching for a term, the user will see a listing of materials that meet the search criteria, as well as an indication of how many results were found. The research results will list titles, summaries, abstracts, and authors of published materials by default. So these would be what will automatically come up. So as an example, assume that I put in the word work into the search field. In this example, there are 456 results. The initial search lists the search results and contain a linked title. So by clicking here, you would be able to just go ahead and go to that material that will give users a more detailed view of the material, the author, publication date, publisher, and a truncated version of the summary. These icons will be displayed next to listings that are funded by RSA or are interpreter materials with this icon. The search sorts by relevance and by default, but they'll also be able to search by date of the publication. They will also have the option to add other filters to refine their search. So after clicking on the Add Filter button here, additional information will appear to help the user refine the search. So for the same example using the word work, the user will see how many results the word work had that work in their summary, and they'll see the number of results here. So these little boxes will be numbers of results by the format. So whether it was a document or a website or a video, the topic area, what type of material it is, and the disability focus. In the grantee portal, RSA grantees can create their own accounts. After creating an account, grantees will be able to upload materials by their designated PR award number. Once they upload material, grantees will be able to view the status of the RSA review of the materials. News and webinars from the home page will be shown in on the grantee page, as well as some of the webinars here. And now a word from our sponsor. Don, can you please tell folks about what the RSA would like to have in the repository?
Thank you, Sherry. The short answer to that is that RSA would like materials that can be useful to the field for training purposes. You might have a training that you've found to be valuable for in-house training that can be adapted by others for use in their programs. Some examples might include curricula used for rehab counselor training, self-directed online training on people first language, web-based training for counselors to receive continuing rehabilitation credits or CEUs. You may wish to submit a PowerPoint presentation or handout that may be useful to others as is or with a little adaptation. You can upload video content that can complement a college class or in-service training. One interesting idea someone suggested is a link to a downloadable training app. Other suggestions might be handouts that others can use for training courses. Now, the benefits of submitting. Many of you already know that RSA requires grantees to submit materials developed with RSA funds. We encourage you to upload to the NCRTM to fulfill this requirement. There's also a number of benefits to submitting materials. Clearinghouse materials will contribute to the knowledge base for grantees, researchers, trainers, and practitioners in the vocational rehabilitation and education communities. Besides building upon the knowledge in their specific fields, contributors can reach target audiences for dissemination, solicit feedback through an optional peer review process, and receive recognition for top-rated materials. Plus, resources submitted early will gain high exposure in the redesigned clearinghouse. Please send them to ncrtm@neweditions.net, and the submission portal is located at https://ncrtm.ed.gov. Now here are some recent questions from a webinar about NCRTM. One question was, who holds the copyright to uploaded materials? Please do not upload materials for which you or your institution do not hold the copyright. If the material was developed by a grantee with RSA funding, the grantee usually holds the copyright. However, grantees must allow the Department of Education to disseminate materials developed with RSA funds.
Here's another question. Should videos have embedded closed captioning? The answer, if there is a transcript of the video, that should allow people who are deaf to understand what occurred during the webinar. If you use slides, please include the slide number in the transcript.
Another individual asked, is there a cost to post materials? The good news is it's free to post materials, and the NCRTM is a great way to gain visibility for your high-quality materials.
Another question, the former NCRTM site contained a Moodle platform for course instruction. Will this new site contain one as well? The answer, the Moodle from the former NCRTM did not transfer. There are no plans at this time to set up another Moodle. However, folks are welcome to submit materials from their own Moodle or online training platforms.
Of course, the important question is, when is the launch date? The Department of Education is still undergoing some internal clearances. We hope that the NCRTM will be up in a couple of months. Now, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for your participation in this webinar and to thank our representatives from New Editions for helping put this together. If you have any questions, you can email neweditions@ncrtm@neweditions.net. And again, the submission portal is located at ncrtm.ed.gov. Thank you for participating on today's webinar.